Sed can do all sorts of interesting things, including printing specific lines in a file. For example, you can print one line, a range of lines, a regular expression of lines, and even multiple groups of lines if you want, and any combination of the above. So in this video here, we're going to go over all those examples. I've got a little file here with 100 lines. We're going to play around with this one. But in a real world use case, maybe you have something like a 250,000 line SQL script that you just dumped. Now you're importing that on a different server, but you're getting an error on line 187,216. Maybe you don't want to open that entire file in a code editor. Maybe you're working in a container where you don't even have a code editor. So using sed just to grab out those lines that you care about could be useful there. So let's chop out this file and maybe get line 10. So we're going to pass in -n, which is going to tell sed not to print all the lines by default, which is what it would do. And then we can just do 10 and p here. I like to think of p as print. And then there's the output file there. And there we go. We got line 10. If we didn't put the -n there, then yeah, sed's going to print all the lines. But let's say we want to get lines, 20 through 25. So we can just separate there with a range using a comma. We only have one p there at the end. And that is going to do an inclusive range here. You can see lines 20 all the way to 25 have been included there. What's nice too is you can even use some regular expression like shortcuts. For example, maybe you want to get lines 80 all the way to the end, but you don't really know what the last line is, or you don't want to put it in. So we can use $sign here as a shortcut there. And notice how I am using single quotes here. Notice how we get lines 80 through 100, by the way, all the way to the end, which is quite nice. If I use double quotes there, then take a guess what might happen here. And there we go. Okay, so yeah, your shell is going to interpret the $sign p as a variable, and then sed's going to be like, I don't know what you want to do here. This is going to be basically an empty string there, and then things are not going to work. So that's why we're using single quotes there. So we can also use regular expression patterns too. For example, we can use forward slashes there. Maybe we want to get, all the lines that have an 8 here. What did I do? Oh yeah, duh, you need to put the p there. Cool. So we can see here we have line 8, and then we also have all the 80s there all the way to the end. You can use whatever you'd like there, basically. You can also use a range of regular expressions too, if you'd like. I also mentioned at the start of the video that you can do different groupings of lines as well. For example, let's say that you want to output line 10. We saw that example before. But let's say you also want to get lines 90 through 100 in addition to line 10, but you don't want to get all the other lines in between. So what we could do here is, I'll just quote this to be safe. We'll see if we actually need it. But yeah, you can use a semicolon here and just separate the sed commands that you want to do here. What did I say? 90 to 100. Let's do that. And we can see we have line 10 there as the first line, and then we have all the different lines there, 90 through 100 at the end. I think your shell is going to interpret that semicolon there without quotes, and things are going to be busted. I can already tell right away, of course, that's not going to work. Waiting for input, sure, cool. So that's why we needed to quote that one there. But yeah, it's just a couple of different examples here of using sed to chop out a file to get the specific lines that you care about. So if you have any questions about this, let me know in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer all of them. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. It really does help a lot. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.